forecast we pay very close attention to. We're looking at temperatures, we're looking at snow levels.
People across several different states are being told tonight to get ready for days of stormy weather ahead. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Some parts of the West are already feeling the effects of a large and powerful storm system that is sweeping ashore tonight. From Washington to California, people are bracing for strong winds, heavy rain, and a lot of snow. A blizzard warning is already in effect for some parts of Washington. That includes the North Cascades. In Seattle tonight, this is the scene. Rain has been falling throughout most of the day. This is a live look at the downtown area where the rain is picking up tonight. We begin our coverage of preparations for this severe weather with Fox 13's Frankie Thompson. She shows us how state and local leaders in Washington have been preparing for a round of storms that could last until the end of next week.
As the winds change, Washington State Department of Transportation is keeping close watch on the roads. WashDOT says crews are standing by to quickly respond to downed trees and power lines that could block traffic. And if that happens, they're asking drivers to pay attention to road closed signs that will be in place.
Those signs are there for the safety of the public. And so we want people to know when they come across those signs to not drive past them because they don't know what's happening up ahead.
Washington State Ferry says wind events typically don't have much impact on majority of its routes. Officials say usually the winds come from the south, but the bomb cyclone is forecast to blow in a different direction. And officials with State Ferry say it could affect smaller routes.
We talk to the captains a lot during these weather events, and they tell us when it's safe to go and not safe to go. You know, they're looking out for the passengers, the crew on board, and the vessel's safety. And we have to take their word when they're out there and using that information to make sure the customers have that reliable information in an unreliable situation.
Winter weather is something Seattle Department of Transportation has been test running for the past 2 days, getting snow and ice removal equipment on the streets for the first time this year.
Allows our drivers to get some practice operating the equipment throughout the routes of the city.
But SDOT says what wasn't part of their winter weather preparation was the strong winds. But directors say they're ready to get to work.
Weather systems of all different types move through the region at different speeds and different intensity. Here we are today practicing our snow and ice fighting capability, and we're on the cusp of a potential windstorm tonight.
And that was Fox 13's Frankie Thompson reporting tonight. People in parts of Oregon are also being warned tonight to prepare for wind, rain, and snow. The same system that's moving across Washington is expected to dump a lot more snow in the mountains east of Portland. Here is a live look at the conditions in the Mount Hood area tonight. You can see all that snow piled up here already. That's from several systems that moved through this area since this past weekend. North of Portland in Cowlitz County, people are being warned to prepare for downed trees and power outages with this incoming storm. In the San Francisco Bay Area, people are expecting to get a lot of rain from this system. In Santa Rosa today, people stocked up on sandbags, trying to keep water out of their homes and garages. Still, the rain is a welcome sight for many. It was just 2 weeks ago when a red flag fire warning had the fire department in Santa Rosa asking people to clean out their gutters and debris from their properties to try to minimize the spread of wildfires.
Now, soils are relatively dry, so they'll be able to saturate a lot of the initial rainfall. But with the prolonged event that we're anticipating, we'll likely see a lot of nuisance ponding, flooding of roadways, as well as some pretty rapid rises of streams, creeks, and some of the rivers.
And the California Highway Patrol says they are expecting to see a spike in spinouts during the first big storm of the season. They're urging drivers to watch their speeds and to increase their following distance to avoid those accidents. Let's take you to the Bay Area tonight, and here is a live look at downtown San Francisco. Things are still calm here tonight. The rain has not quite arrived in the city just yet, but let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Mark Tamayo, who is tracking that system that is affecting communities all across the West Coast. Mark?
Hi there, Alex. Yeah, tomorrow we'll continue to see some more rain expand over portions of California. Here is the system itself, as you can see. on the satellite. And there's that well-defined bomb cyclone. The definition is the pressure drop is 24 millibars over a 24-hour period. This one will easily beat that. We could be talking about 60 millibars in 24 hours. So it gives you just an idea of just how rapid this storm is strengthening. And of course, we have this moisture plume out here, and that is the atmospheric river that will be focused in Northern California, especially in the Bay Area. This was Seattle today. Temperature of 47 degrees, lots of cloud cover out there. And right now, Seattle reporting winds to around 21 miles an hour. So it's already breezy to windy up in portions of the Pacific Northwest. In San Francisco, this will be the dividing line with the real heavy rain north of the Golden Gate Bridge tomorrow, and then south of the Golden Gate Bridge, so at least for tomorrow, will be taper off on the rainfall intensity. Here's a look at the current radar imagery right now. Some rain in Oregon and rain snow up in the Washington area as well. And there's that rain moving on board into Northern California. Blizzard warnings posted for portions of Washington, as you can see, until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then as we expand the view here, all these areas under a flood watch. That's a good indicator of just that this rain. We have to take it seriously over the next few days. And of course, the wind's a big factor. Wind advisories and high wind warnings in place. And this is a rare hurricane force wind warning near the coastline, especially near Oregon. You can see that area of low pressure here, and that will set up that real strong wind event for tomorrow as those winds do accelerate. Now, the plan for tomorrow, rain and wind for Seattle. Rain returns for San Francisco. If you want the sunshine, we have that as well. Down toward Southern California, out toward Phoenix, and even out toward Denver, temperatures will be in the 50s. Here's the forecast models. We do put it in motion, and as you can see here, a lot of rain and snow up in the Pacific Northwest. And this does move into Northern California. This is for your Wednesday. And the problem for Northern California, this will kind of set up and stall that atmospheric river, so that could lead to excessive rainfall over the next few days. Then finally, that boundary begins to move to the south, approaching Central California. So in terms of the real heavy rainfall, the focus will be up in Northern California through Thursday. You can see Eureka, possibly 5.5 inches of rain. But as we expand the view in the Bay Area right on through Sunday, we could be talking about some hefty amounts. Maybe the coastal hills could be approaching a foot of rainfall. So with this much rain in the next few days, that could lead to some flooding issues out there. Thankfully, this is the first major storm of the season, and the ground is still relatively dry. But here is your forecast for tomorrow. We do have the clouds up in the Seattle area and some rain showers as well. For San Francisco, there's that rain. And then if you want the sunshine and warm temperatures, a completely different story. Low 80s in Phoenix for Thursday and to Friday.
All right, but get ready for a lot of rain headed our way here in the week ahead. Mark, thank you. For a full breakdown of all of the weather phenomenons that Mark was discussing here, atmospheric rivers and bomb cyclones, we have a full breakdown of all of those at our website. That's westcoastwrap.com. Today, Los Angeles passed an ordinance officially making it a sanctuary city. The city council voted unanimously today to bar city resources from being used to help enforce federal immigration laws. LA has prohibited this kind of assistance in the past, but the sanctuary ordinance formally codifies the ban. Supporters say this move is necessary as President-elect Trump has promised to crack down on undocumented immigrants, including mass deportations.
Our city resources need to go to schools, to clinics, to parks, and not to terrorizing our vibrant and contributing immigrant community. LA is a community that has welcomed people for decades, for centuries, and now is not the time to stop being that place where people feel safe.
This new ordinance, of course, likely to face criticism from the incoming Trump administration. Neither Trump nor his representatives have commented so far. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, years after Club Q's mass shooting in Colorado, victims are now suing. Tonight, why they believe this tragedy could have been prevented. Plus, some ASU students looking to coat buildings with a material that protects them from the sun and keeps them cool will lay out why they believe this could save people money. Survivors of the mass shooting at Club Q in Colorado Springs have filed a lawsuit against county officials and the club itself. One lawsuit claims that El Paso County law enforcement could have prevented the shooting if it had used a red flag law. Survivors say the gunman had a history of violent threats that warranted intervention. The other lawsuit claims the club's owner did not provide proper security. That mass shooting in 2022 left 5 people dead and 25 injured. Survivors say their lives were changed forever.
I find myself not only struggling with what happened, but with everyday life as well. I don't work much, but thankfully I have a job that does understand my limitations. I can't drive and I can't cook by myself. I can't even take my dogs for a walk.
The gunman pleaded guilty to federal charges earlier this year and was sentenced to 55 concurrent life sentences without parole. The club's management said in a statement that the pain of the tragedy is something they carry every day. They added, quote, "The accusations against Club Q and myself are false and completely inaccurate and will be rigorously defended. The blame for this tragedy does not lie with those who were impacted, but with Anderson Aldrich, the shooter, and a system that enables easy access to weapons of war." California Governor Gavin Newsom says he's putting off a decision about clemency for the Menendez brothers until the incoming LA County District Attorney reviews the case. The Menendez brothers say they killed their parents decades ago after suffering years of abuse by their parents. They're serving life sentences without parole. Current DA George Gascon made a push for resentencing after evaluating new evidence in the case. A resentencing hearing is set for December 11th. DA-elect Nathan Hochman will be sworn in on December 2nd. Nearly 36 people in Oregon have been arrested after a months-long human trafficking investigation. Police officers in Northeast Portland say they increased patrols after getting several complaints from the community. Those patrols resulted in arrests for a variety of crimes, including sexual solicitation. Investigators seized 2 weapons and towed 6 vehicles. Advocates who help survivors of human trafficking have been now called in to help those suspected victims. McDonald's is rolling out a multi-million-dollar plan to rebuild trust with customers. Fox 31's Nate Belt shows us how it's responding to that deadly E. coli outbreak.
McDonald's announced this weekend that it's going to spend $100 million to try and get people back to the Golden Arches after losing sales thanks to that E. coli outbreak. An economics professor tells me this is the right move for the company.
In economics, we just call it an outside shock to the company, and some outside shocks are good, some are bad.
And MSU Denver economics professor Kishore Kulkarni says the E. coli outbreak was a bad one. McDonald's announced $100 million will now go towards bringing people back into the restaurants, and Kulkarni says the money isn't the issue.
$100 million is not really a main question because they can always find that change somewhere. What is more important is the name of the company.
Earning back the trust that was broken should now be the company's main goal, says Kulkarni, and cash is the best place to start.
The more they spend, the better trust will be there and faster it will come.
While McDonald's hasn't specified exactly what the money will be used for, Kulkarni expects it'll go to better food safety checks, among other things.
They got to spend the money on quality. They got to spend some money on advertisement and commercials and informing consumers that they are taking every precaution to not to have this again happen.
McDonald's says that of that $100 million, $65 million will go directly to the hardest hit franchises. Now, that may indicate that much of it will be coming here to Colorado, where most of the cases were reported. In the newsroom, Nate Belt, Fox 31.
Boeing's newest round of layoffs will affect employees beyond its facility in Renton, Washington, where the company builds planes. We're learning tonight that dozens of Boeing workers in Oregon and Colorado are also being laid off. Hundreds more are getting pink slips in South Carolina. These cuts are part of Boeing's plan to recover from financial and regulatory trouble. The company has lost more than $25 billion since the start of 2019. It expects to cut as much as 10% of its workforce in the coming months. That is a loss of about 17,000 jobs. Tonight, a family is desperate for answers after the disappearance of a woman from Hawaii. Fox 11's Haley Winslow reports tonight that she disappeared during a flight layover in Los Angeles.
Latest developments show Hannah Kobayashi is in extreme danger. Surveillance video not yet released show her on the metro, and her family says the details surrounding it are terrifying. Hannah was on a layover here at LAX. It was quick, so she missed her connecting flight, went out in LA just to explore. All was well for a few days until she suddenly vanished. Now her family says they have hard evidence to believe she's being drugged and trafficked.
It's every parent's worst nightmare. It's just unimaginable.
It's just very unlike her to just disappear.
She's disappeared somewhere in LA. 30-year-old Hawaii native Hannah Kobayashi. Her family, worried sick, hasn't heard from her in a week.
She is watching this. Like, I love you, Hannah. Like, I miss you so much. And I wish, like, just don't be scared. If there's, something that you can do, or just to let us know that you're okay, like, you do that.
From Maui, Kobayashi had a 35-minute layover on her way to visit family in New York. Her ex-boyfriend, on the same pre-booked trip, arrives at his destination. Surveillance footage shows Kobayashi get off the plane at LAX and never get back on that second flight. She's since been spotted in the bottom right of this video clip at a LeBron James event downtown, and again by a witness on the metro at Pico Union.
She said she seemed like a little dissociated, like just out of it.
Was she with anyone?
We can't really confirm that yet.
Her older sister, Sydney, says her last messages and Instagram posts were strange and don't sound like her.
Even in those text messages, it just did not seem like her, or it just seemed like someone else, or maybe someone did something to her to alter her state of mind, because it's not how she normally speaks. She's one of the most grounded people that I know.
Grounded, sticks to her plans, and close to her family, known to constantly check in. Sydney fears her younger sister's been drugged or trafficked, and fears she'll never see her again.
We don't want her to just become another missing person.
So appreciative for everybody's help, for your help, everybody. The whole community has been incredible, and outpouring of love and support from Hawaii, from New York, from California is amazing. I really appreciate everything.
Her family is working with the LAPD, the FBI, and LAX, and handing out flyers in downtown LA, desperate for information that will bring her home safe and sound, and soon. At LAX, I'm Haley Winslow. Back to you.
10 years ago, a Bay Area woman, Brittany Menard, became a symbol for the Right to Die movement. Today, her husband is still continuing that fight. Brittany was 29 years old when she was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer and given 6 months to live. She made the difficult decision to end her life on her own terms instead of how she was told the cancer would kill her. But Oregon was the only state at the time in this country that had death with dignity laws. So Brittany and her husband, Dan Diaz, left their home and moved to Oregon so Brittany could die the way she wanted to. Since that time, Diaz has continued to fight for the right to die in more states.
The promise I made to Brittany is that I would help work on passing legislation in more states so that nobody would ever have to do what we did of leaving your home after you've been told you have 6 months to live.
In 2014, there were 4 states that allowed terminally ill patients to take life-ending medication. Now, 10 years later, 10 states plus Washington, D.C. have medical aid in dying laws, with Brittany's husband, Dan Diaz, at the forefront of this movement, continuing to fight for that option in even more states. Coming up tonight, here on West Coast Wrap, Hawaii becomes the last state in the country to report cases of bird flu, the facility where a number of birds have died in recent weeks. Plus, it's being called Sunscreen for buildings. Tonight, how 2 grad students in Arizona developed a special roof coating designed to keep buildings cool. Hawaii is no longer the only state in the country without bird flu. Health officials have confirmed Hawaii's first cases of the virus at a bird sanctuary on the island of Oahu. A duck at this rescue facility died back on November 5th. 20 more birds have died since that time. When the water supply near the sanctuary was tested, results came back positive for the bird flu. Rescue operator Susan Wilkinson says she's devastated her entire flock needed to be euthanized.
This is no joke. This is real. It is on island. It is nasty. Quarantine your birds now. Quarantine your flocks now. Be safe. I don't wish this on anybody. This is literally the worst thing in my life ever.
Earlier this month, the CDC warned bird flu is spreading more quickly than previously thought among farm workers here in the U.S. People in some parts of Montana are dealing with the most snow they've seen in months. Heavy snow started falling south of Billings yesterday. The Red Lodge Ski Resort has not announced whether it will open its season early because of all that snowfall, but it is really coming down there by those lifts. Right now, the season is set to open on November 29th. A pair of grad students at Arizona State University believe they've come up with something that can help communities cope with extreme heat. Fox 10's Steve Nielsen shows us how they want to coat buildings with sunscreen.
Even on a cool Monday morning in Tempe, Matthew and Ashe roll out their faux commercial building roofs. They're testing just how hot they get.
Base coat, top coat, it's making it seamless.
He's talking about a new roof coating unlike any other. The two friends spend hours at Arizona State University offices together daily, testing and retesting their coating. They developed it as doctorate students and then started a company, Encoat, after they graduated.
We didn't want to leave all that research behind us and go work in corporate. So we were like, how can we use this technology and make the biggest impact?
This blue goo, that's the magic. Inside it, millions of particles that they've developed at ASU that they say act like ice packs. It freezes at night and cools during the day.
So we've actually formulated it to resist UV and IR. Our second layer, that's our thermal barrier. So any heat that wants to come into the building or heat that wants to escape, it hits this barrier and it stays trapped. It acts like a blocker.
It's a brand new type of commercial roofing and it has to be tested, polled, and retested. They coated a few classrooms and the results were better than expected.
When we did it, we ran that for 12 months and we collected data on the performance and we saw a 25 to 30% reduction in heating and cooling costs.
You hear that? Up to a 30% drop in cooling bills. Inside the lab, they developed a heat box to mimic the desert sun that they've used thousands of times.
Every mix and batch we make, we test it. Every competitor we benchmark against. So this has been used quite a lot.
Yeah.
Now SRP is testing the coating on a roof at ASU's Polytechnic campus in the spring to see if they can offer rebates for companies that switch to it. Matthew says the heat isn't going anywhere, so finding solutions like this matter.
Into the hundreds late in October in Arizona, so this problem's not going away. So yeah, for owners, it's like, hey, we have the solution for you. For contractors, it's really a matter of this is a next generation product that everybody from owners are wanting, like they need it.
Here's the good news. Contractors, they can carry this now. So this is a product that can be purchased. That being said, you can't buy it for your personal house. It's only for commercial projects like this roof that we're standing on right now. They're also, though, working on trying to bring this to cold weather environments, too. It would be sort of a reverse process, whereas here in the desert, we want to keep that cold air in the building. Well, in the north, this product would work on keeping that warm air in the building. They're looking to try to make that happen the next couple years here. Steve Nielsen, Fox 10 News.
All right, finally tonight, get ready for a serious Thanksgiving travel rush, especially at airports. The TSA is predicting it will screen 18.3 million people between next Tuesday, November 26th, and Monday, December 2nd. That is a 6% increase from the same travel period last year. Passenger volumes are at record highs this year, with a 17% increase since 2022. The record for the busiest travel day so far this year was just after the 4th of July. That's when the TSA screened more than 3 million people at airports on Sunday, July 7th. It is going to be a busy Thanksgiving travel season. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. Have a great night.